that language wasn't in that conversation.
It's so confusing. It is so confusing because on one, even like in our magazines and stuff, on one hand, there's like, you know, here's how to be your healthiest you, and here, you know, here's tools for that. And then a few pages later, I'll be like, here's also how to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks or something. Like we're still, it's untraining what we know. We have to be done apologizing for ourselves and our bodies, and like no, why? I'm not being sorry anymore. I'm so proud of the person that I am and how far I've come and what I look like. And it's like, you know, let's all adapt together.
Okay, guys, we are doing an all-new HBFIT TV episode, and we have the beautiful Candice Huffine here, who is a model, entrepreneur, lover of all things body positivity. And I kind of wanted to chat with her because chat with you, because not only are you like major, but like I feel like you've got so much stuff going on right now, and it would be really great to just like highlight and talk about your career. And you're actually like coming to see me after you just finished like what was it, Good Day New York?
Good Day New York, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this morning to promote the line.
That's
so
pretty cool.
It was really cool because I actually was thinking about it this morning, and I'm like, when I first started my career a bajillion years ago, I used like the first jobs I had as a model were doing morning television shows. Like,
really?
No pay, 5 o'clock in the morning, but I thought
God.
it was the coolest thing ever because like I'm a model, I made it, and look at me, mom, I'm on TV. And now like full circle, like I just did a segment that I was hosting, so it was very cool.
How major is that?
I always get like super nostalgic about all these little things. Like there's always a tie-in. I think I try to I just track my progress so much that I'm always like remembering back to the beginning days because it's cool to see how far you've come.
I think that's really beautiful, and I think that it's also really important not to like lose yourself in all of like, you know, it's so great for us to all like kind of feel like we're coming up, but like to not lose touch about where we've come from and how hard it's been to get to where we're going, and being nostalgic and remembering those small moments I think is so important. What's like another kind of small moment for you that you look back on and you're like, wow, I can't believe like I used to do that. Now like you're like, I don't know if I'd ever.
I mean, so many. I mean, I've lived in New York a long time as well. And when I first moved here, I worked in a restaurant in Times Square, which I actually just went to dinner at with my husband's grandparents the other night. And I was like sitting there and I was like, guys, that's where I used to sit and answer the phones. Like I sat in a balcony above the whole restaurant and I answered the phones, and then I would like send down a piece of paper with the reservation on it in order. It was insane. And then there we are like just having a nice dinner and a glass of wine. I'm like, this is really sweet. It is very sweet.
Wow, that's amazing.
Good old New York stories, right? I mean, everyone has them, but.
I know. And where are you from originally?
Maryland.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So not that far.
No, I've lived here 15 years.
Okay, wow.
Been a model for 17 years. I came here to model, but obviously, like, and that's another thing I always talk to new models about. It's like, just so you know, you will not move here and be on the cover of Vogue. I mean, like maybe that is someone's story, and that would be incredible if you got discovered that way. But like, I worked in restaurants and I took odd jobs on Craigslist, like being a coat check, and it's like, you hustle.
I feel like a lot of like the younger generation don't really understand the idea of having like multiple jobs to support the idea of having one successful one.
I mean, it takes 10 years to look like an overnight success, and here we are, like about
And
close
so
to that.
17 years, that's like a very long trajectory for any model.
Yeah.
So can you tell us like a little bit about that and what your modeling career has kind of looked like? And yeah, like 17.
My modeling career looked insane. I mean, it is abnormal. Like when I first started in this industry, I mean, I was 15 years old, and so people say, the very first question was like, well, what else are you gonna do? Because naturally you're only gonna be able to do this for, I hope you like a very strong tea. Yeah. Because you're only going to be able to do this for 5 years. I feel like that was like kind of the common misconception or something that like models have a very short shelf life basically, and like they're only going to take you when you're a teenager and that's it. And I mean, here we are like
17 years later.
Yeah, and I feel like I've just in an awesome way been on the ride with the industry, specifically like the plus size modeling industry. I feel like we've grown up together.
Yeah.
Like I was there in the beginning days when there wasn't a lot of brands that made clothes above a size 12, and when they did, that was not really serving the customer in the way that she wanted to be represented. Everyone was learning, right? I wasn't a great model myself, so I was learning. I couldn't even sell your tragic clothes. Like everything was bad. But it's in another scenario of like looking back to see how far you've come. It's like the industry itself has grown and become so awesome and continues to get better on a daily basis. And like, it's been an amazing ride. It's nice to see firsthand. I do feel like I've been in like the driver's seat or like the front seat of this whole sort of movement, revolution, and growth period.
And don't you feel like you're kind of like just even only now moving into your peak? Like,
there's like so much left to do. Yes, it does feel like the beginning, so much left to do.
Which is crazy, like that it can feel like the beginning after 17 years, and it's like, because truthfully, and as you've noted, like the industry really only is just now starting to really kind of understand.
Yes.
And there's so
much more to conquer. I mean, I just walked my first New York Fashion Week last February. Yeah, in February.
That's insane.
So like that's just the beginning of that. Even my husband's always like, you're an amazing anomaly, because at a time where people used to think traditionally that it's like you've paid your dues, or that's, you know, you're on the way out of your career or something, just because it was like this weird misconception we made up. He's like, you're just new things are starting, and it's a whole new level.
It's really exciting to feel like it's all of a sudden it's taken so long, like it's taken 17 years for the industry to even start to understand. Now all of a sudden the growth that we're gonna see in the next 5 years
and the
importance.
importance,
and it's gonna be exponential than to anything that we've even seen before.
I've been very patient for all those years. Let it be known.
It's paying off.
Patient, and also because I believed in what was supposed to be, basically. I mean, I feel like there was some part of me as a kid that must have just known that the best was yet to come. Oh my gosh, so like that's like a magnet somewhere. So cheese. But
I mean, it's true though.
But I was like, why can't I be? Hold on a second. I will be on the cover of a magazine. And why? I know you're telling me I won't be now, but I will be. So I'm sticking this out. I'm not gonna let you tell me no.
So tell me more about kind of some of the things that you would necessarily tell yourself, especially in those years that were like, I don't know, like 0 to 10, when the clothes were tragic and the industry had fucking blinders on, and like, what were some of those like moments where you said to yourself, like, my life will be bigger than this, and like I just need to like ride it out? Because I have those moments too where I'm like, this is not reflective of where I'm gonna be going, but it is my right now.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of times where you sort of stop and remind yourself that you aren't in total control in this industry, and not to take it personally, because you know, sometimes if you didn't get a job or you didn't get booked back, you would think that naturally you would take that onto yourself and think that there was something wrong with you, which can be detrimental to a girl if she's, you know, if she lets it infiltrate. You know, you can be like, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not something, when really it comes down to like, they wanted to use a blonde for the next one. You know, it's like you never really know what's going on, and I just felt like, for me, on a personal level, I know my capabilities and what I can offer someone, and that I'm an asset to a brand, and I was just waiting for these brands and designers to figure it out too. I just was like, I'll be here when you're ready for me, and then I'll crush it for you, I promise. But it's like, I don't know, that's just me being kind to me, I guess. And that's all you should do and can do.
Exactly.
And, I mean, even in the very beginning when I went to go get my contract, the contract that I felt was rightfully mine, I'm like, I'm going to New York to become a model, which was crazy, because then I was way too bold and sassy, because there was no contracts waiting for me. They were like, we would love to talk to you more if you lost weight. And that was like a huge slap in the face I had not expected. But even from that point, I was like, that's actually not realistic for me. So there's something that's been lodged in me from a very young age that's like, you know best what you feel in your gut, and just
and that you don't
follow
need
that.
to conform or fit in anyone's mold.
Yeah, so I was like, no thank you. And then I got offered a contract as a plus size model, and I was like, that sounds great. What's the catch? I can just be me? And they're like, yeah, that's it. I mean, the catch was that there wasn't a lot of jobs at the time, because it was such a small industry, but frankly, like, I just wanted to be in the Sears catalog, so that was good enough for me.
To be honest, I mean, frankly, the reality though is that millions and millions of girls look up to you and don't necessarily fit into the sizes that, like, you know, media is telling them that they should be, and that's totally like amazing and normal, and like it's the industry that is kind of the warped mind.
Which then, the reason why it's important for models like myself and a lot of other girls in the industry that have been here for a while that are really working tirelessly to sort of share their message and make this change.
Right.
That's why it's so important for us to just stay, have that patience, be strong, be bold, be vocal as well, because so the industry might not move fast enough for our likes, even though it is changing tenfold. It's been amazing. And maybe it's not fast enough, but like we can all band together and show you and motivate you and let you hopefully see yourself represented in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
So that's been a constant motivator, I guess, for me to just always like continue to keep doing what I'm doing and maybe even amplify it, because I'm like, now I know for sure. In the beginning days, like, you didn't know who's listening, who cares, who's watching. You don't even know how to get your message out there, you know what I mean? And then now it's like, you have the power to, and so you better use it for good.
Right, we have all the tools, we have all the resources at our fingertips.
Yeah.
And you have been spreading an amazing positive message, and I want to kind of talk also about like, you pointed out to me this morning, we almost met at our Shape Marathon like mentor run.
Yeah, the relay.
The mile relay.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to meet because they had us all there. We like took a photo, then they like separated all of us, and they're just like
so that we could be with our mentees. I was cut backwards.
Yeah.
And
which was amazing morning,
yeah, it was
but we
super
didn't
cool.
get to like really connect with the other talent that was there, so I didn't get to like really chat with you at all. But I want to hear about your experience with running.
I know.
Yeah, because I've actually had a really challenging time with running. I used to be a sprinter in high school, left that, and I find endurance running very, very difficult. I don't particularly like it. For me, it's really mental.
Like you just want to go fast and be done.
Yes.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So I want to hear about your what kind of approach to running and how you got into it, because of all the world of exercise, which I'm sure
I know.
is literally put in your head, like put it down your throat. It's put down everyone's throat. Like the world of like wellness, exercise, treating yourself good. Like we get that it's like good for us, but how do we like actually?
I think it can also be so intimidating in that way too, right? Because you're like, I must find something. What's going to be for me?
How do we actually like implement something that we find as a good habit for ourselves?
And then also, I did listen to this interesting podcast recently where this woman, and it was such an aha moment for me because I did it like while I was listening to it while I was running, and it was like it had something to pertain with like putting out your art or something. It didn't even have to do with sport, but it was just saying how we want to be so good at something before we even do it, right? You want to like have it perfected before you start.
We have these high expectations for ourselves.
So you're like taking classes, teaching yourself, and I think that when it comes to like starting a new activity, the reason why we maybe start it briefly and then stop is because we find we weren't good at it from the start. But like, whose story is that ever?
Right.
Maybe you're not. Of course, there's natural born athletes, but like most likely you're not going to just like lace up your shoes for the first time and go run. Exactly.
Right.
So, but I thought that was so interesting because I was like, that is so true, and I feel like that mentality just keeps us from so many things. But in this, and that's maybe what was keeping me from running. Like it sort of scared me. Like I kept it. All of my friends are runners. I was always in the running community. I just never was the one that was actually running.
Right.
Like I was in like jeans, just clapping.
Right.
I don't know why. It just scared me for reasons that are silly looking back. Like I thought that because I didn't look like them.
Right.
Or that because I wouldn't be fast, I couldn't keep up. I didn't want to ruin someone else's run. But it's really, it started because my husband dared me. We were like setting up our resolutions. I'm not like a super fan of resolutions. I think there's so much pressure on a resolution.
I know, it's a lot.
So we were like planning goals for the year ahead. And I was planning all career-based goals, like as I do. Like just thinking about what's next for me moving forward, what that looks like, my new plans, new clients I want to work for, And out of nowhere, he was like, I think you should run a half marathon. I was like, why? What does that have to do with anything?
Right.
And he was like, honestly, I think that if you set that goal and achieve it, all the other things you're trying to achieve will fall into place. Like even career-based or like related to personal health and well-being. He's like, and it was so broad and it made no sense to me. And he's like, I just have a feeling. I mean, damn, he was right. It was shocking, but I think it's because we set huge goals and we dream big, and that's amazing, but you need something that's like possible and tangible. And I think I had never set that for myself before. I'd never like actually made a plan and completed it until it came to running. So yeah, of all the things to have done, that's the one that just stuck. I think it got me on the right day, and I needed it just enough. Like I needed that change. It changed my life.
That's amazing.
I just became a better person, I feel like.
It's funny that your husband dared you, because I feel like my husband also was the reason that I got into running. It was because he was running all the time, and like he'd be like, "Oh, it was so beautiful out. I had such a gorgeous run."
I was always okay with just waving him goodbye, though. I'm like, "Have a great run, bye."
See, I'm actually quite competitive when it comes to like sports and stuff, and especially with my husband. Although there are some things that he's just in another league on, and I'm like, that's okay. Like I'm never gonna be there. But with running, I felt like it was something that we could be on the same level as. And he was getting so good at it and like enjoying it so much, and I was like getting very frustrated with myself that I wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I not like? Why do I keep stopping? Like, and I'd be like, what's my problem? And I'd be like, okay, maybe it's just like running on concrete's not comfortable. I'd make up so many things. But then I went to this class, speaking of classes, this like running class, and I like ran for 45 minutes straight, and I felt amazing.
Yeah.
And like I felt the energy of the other people, and like for me, I just realized, okay, like I kind of like running in a group.
Right.
I don't necessarily like running on my own. Like I find it kind of boring. And so then I was like, okay, now, and so even though my like goal is like, okay, well, if I can run, like, I'm like, okay, now I can run for 45 minutes, maybe I could run for an hour.
Right.
Which is very different than.
Then maybe you could run for 4 for a marathon.
Like, no. But I was gonna say, like, you completed your first marathon.
Yes.
How was that? Like, that seems so intimidating for me, and I'm like someone who loves all of this shit.
Well, I love to hear you say like, okay, well that didn't, what you were like, oh, I'm walking, I'm stopping, or whatever. I do think that like, just like we think that we're not capable of doing things, anything sport related, like you think, oh, my body doesn't look like hers, and I'm not fast, so I can't do that. Like we make up what each sport is supposed to look like or be like.
Right.
And so we give ourselves a hard time if we're not fast, or if we do stop. Like it blows people's minds to realize that they could actually just like walk a little bit if they want to walk, you know? Right. Or like you don't, you can be
like,
done
why
after.
Why do I feel like if I walk a little bit, that I've like ruined my whole
It doesn't.
experience?
I always just try to remind people like you did this for you, and you don't have to explain anything that you're doing. Like you didn't do anything wrong. You don't have to explain it. It doesn't have to look a certain way.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like a certain amount of miles in order for it to qualify as a run. Like you put on your shoes and you're out there, and that you're running. You did it. So also it's like everyone goes out and like sprints, and then they're like, wow, that really sucked, and now I'm never doing that again. So it's just sort of like, I always like to share any part of my journey, because I'm just to like take a weight off of someone's shoulders. It's like, I'm not fast, and I mean, now I can go a long distance because I worked really hard too, but it's not easy.
I mean, obviously you did a marathon, but like on a regular day, like what are you running?
Like 3 miles, like a little
that
jaunt.
Seems so attainable.
Like a little 30 minutes. Here's the way I look at it, and it's like, by the time with the best of intentions, like get all geared up to go to some class, to be in there, and then come back home. It's like a few hours dedicated to that. I know me, and I just never like really can commit to that. What I can do is be sure that like I can throw on a pair of shoes and run for 30 minutes, and like zone out, listen to music, listen to the album I always want to listen to, and just give myself a moment and come back like completely refreshed.
That's
I just
amazing.
never give myself, I think so often we never give ourselves enough time for things.
So tell me like a little bit about like what your fitness goals kind of look like
moving forward.
Yeah.
It's interesting because now like this is a marathon. I did 2 marathons this year. I never expected I'd ever run a marathon in my life, and now I did 2. So it's like one of those other very like hokey sort of things. It's like life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Like I didn't plan for this, and like next thing you know, it took over one entire year of my life in the best of ways. And like my husband said, like helped me to feel like ready or driven enough to conquer other goals within that. It's so tricky. Like you think you're just running, and really you're like becoming a different character or something.
Totally.
It's crazy.
Like releasing all of these different like emotions.
Like suddenly I became like, I know what I want. I know how to get it. I'm going for it. I'm not scared anymore. I'm not nervous. Like when it came to anything, career or just like relationship, anything, I just suddenly was like bolder. I think because I'm like, something unlocked in me that made me realize that I'm not I'm not limited. Like I
Right.
can actually do what I set my mind to
That's
do. And that
amazing.
was a really interesting sort of aha moment.
Yeah.
And then because we're so hard on ourselves, we just say, I can't
Right.
do that, I can't.
Right.
And that with anything, you just sort of like prejudge, I can't.
And then that aha moment has also led you into your next venture.
Yes, so that also came in this year. But here we go again, like running's gonna get you prepared for all the other goals in your life. I've always dreamt of designing for like probably the most of the 17 years worth of modeling.
Really?
I've dreamt of designing like basically alongside of that.
Mm-hmm.
And crazy enough, like my new passion of running has like sort of created the perfect unity between fashion and sport, and now I've created an activewear line.
It's amazing.
Which is really like, that's what I know best these
Yeah.
days, to be quite honest with you. So
That's awesome.
very exciting. One thing that I'm very proud of is we're the only activewear line that's extremely size inclusive, size 0 to 32.
Oh wow,
Which
that's
is always
amazing.
something, like that's been important to me in the fashion industry for apparel in general, for any
Right.
clothes. It's just brands need to continue extending sizing and making everything available
I
for
feel
every
like
woman.
there's still like one size fits all.
What, for?
Like just brands.
Oh, yeah, well,
Like I don't understand how that even like
no,
works.
that is weird, isn't it? I haven't seen that in a long time, but that does
I
still
saw
exist.
it in an activewear line.
Really?
Yeah, I want to say like Fat Buddha.
And then so what? Your spandex just can, it's
Just,
like
it can just
magic.
mold.
Hmm.
But I don't know like if that's like for real, for real.
That feels limiting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because then what if you're not all? And
I
then you're
know.
like, so then what if
Yeah,
it doesn't fit
exactly.
you? And
I
then you're like,
know.
oh great,
Yeah.
so something must be wrong. And that's just something that we have to eliminate. It's like always making a woman feel that she's not who she thinks she is, or feeling other than. Like you can,
Totally.
like you live your life feeling fab and amazing and cute and healthy and vibrant, and then you go to shop and they tell you like,
Oh.
you actually can't shop here because
Yeah.
your body's not good enough for
Right.
us. So
Which is ridiculous.
it's been so frustrating.
Yeah.
So that was like a no-brainer for me. I was like, the first question I asked our manufacturer was like, how high can I go in sizing? So
amazing.
I'm really proud of that.
That's incredible.
Thanks.
So are you launching, you launched October 17th, you said?
Yes.
So it's just been like a little bit over a month, 2
Yep.
months, not
Yeah.
even, which is super, super exciting. Are you guys selling everything? Are you doing wholesale? Like,
We're doing, it's online only right now
Okay.
on our website.
Okay.
And then potentially discussing wholesale opportunities. I just want it to be available for a woman to just do whatever
amazing.
she wants to do and have the tools to do so. I mean, I think that when it comes to setting a fitness goal, especially, like
Yeah.
that's already hard.
Yeah.
You know, to like decide what you're going to do, to actually commit to getting out there and doing it. And then what if you can't even get the gear to do it in?
Right.
It just sets you back. It's like a negative domino effect, and then you're like, okay, well, never mind.
Right.
So whatever this woman wants to do, and then so the brand is called Day One, and it's built off of the idea for me that like you should do something in your day that makes you feel awesome, that makes you feel like the best version of you, that you like, you like have an extra pep in your step. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I crushed that. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is. It doesn't even have to be running. You could be like, oh, I finished that book. I crushed it.
Yeah, totally.
And so I just want her, like, remember to put yourself first, and I just want the things to be available for you to do whatever that is you're gonna do.
That's beautiful. Also, Day One really reminds me of like the fact that what you were saying earlier, a little bit about like resolutions and like how like kind of annoying that they are.
Oh, I know.
And like you put so much importance on them, and they actually like end up doing like more harm than good, because you end up like sabotaging yourself with like.
You just like you disappoint yourself, because I think all the resolutions are motivated by weight loss.
I agree.
I think people set them for weight loss first,
Right.
and then of course that's not gonna be fun.
No. And at HBFIT, like we really talk about a lot about like how like, yeah, like you don't need a resolution to start doing something today.
Yes,
And like
100%.
today should be your day if it wasn't already yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's day one.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Love it. I mean, I happened to set mine at the end of a year, and I did start my year in January of
Okay.
running.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wish that dare would have come at any time, and I
Right.
would have stuck to it. Like
Right.
it's just was the right time for me. I needed that shift in my life. But I think the pressures, it's just like when someone tries to have like a dry January or something. It's like,
Right.
well, it's gonna be like don't limit yourself so much. No
Right.
wonder it's stressing you out and you're counting down the days.
I
And
know,
it's like,
yeah, exactly.
imagine if your goal was, just like there's two ways to talk to yourself. There's two ways to have like, or talk to anyone. Like you can choose to go at it at like a positive, loving way, or you can go to the dark side. And I always say, like, when you're talking to yourself, just switch anything negative you're about to say and just, even if you have to redirect it to something else, instead of being like, oh, my thighs are too big, just be like, wow, you're like, girl, your teeth look great today. Your hair looks great. Like, you just be nice to yourself, and then see how your day translates there.
It's funny because I do talk a lot about, but I do like these like panels where we talk about like social media and all these stuff like a lot, and I say constantly about, I really try to use specific language and stay away from specific language, because I feel like language starts to create a dialogue, and dialogue start to create conversations, and conversations shape.
Can't take you anywhere good.
Well, no, but or good conversation.
Oh, 100%.
Shape everything. So it's like, you know, if we can start using like just on a smaller scale, just more positive language, then I think that changes the dialogue that you end up even having with yourself and other people, and like it really does start to like change the way we talk about a lot of these like issues, and and it's I come from a family where my grandmother actually suffered from anorexia her entire life, and that's like something that plagued her, and that's what she passed away from.
Oh wow.
And when she passed away, that's like what was the eye-opening experience for me to like live like the happiest and healthiest version of myself. But I had always kind of been the girl who at the in ballet class, like I wasn't the skinniest girl. I wasn't, you know, getting that part in the Nutcracker that I wanted because it didn't like necessarily fit into the costume. You know what I mean? Like it was just like, but then I was like, oh, but I'm gonna be the Rat King. The Rat King is fucking awesome, and I don't necessarily need to be like the Sugar Plum. And then it was like, you know,
and like,
what I mean?
Look how strong. Oh, but wait, I'm strong.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
it was, and so like I did find those moments empowering, but then it also did get to a point where it was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna conform anymore. So like this isn't like the right thing for me. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave the ballet world and go into sports. And like I've always kind of been that person for myself, where it's like similar to you, like I'm not gonna just conform because that's like what people are telling me to do, or that's what my mom wants me to be, even though she was never like that. But like, you know what I mean?
But it's a conversation you have to have with yourself, and it's work.
Yes, it is
because
work.
You will get met with that initial like, I mean, we're human, so your first reaction will be, I'm not good enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not the best of this or whatever, but you could change your own dialogue.
Of course, and a lot of these industries, especially like prey on young girls to shape their like feelings and thoughts about themselves in that negative space, because they're delusional and think that there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to understand. It's like, no, you're delusional and there's nothing wrong with me.
Right, totally.
Right, so like,
y'all can change for me.
Yeah,
I'm good.
exactly. Yeah, thank you.
No, it's amazing because I have 2 young cousins who live in Brooklyn that I get to see often, to see a young girl growing up. And it's so amazing, like my aunt and I have these conversations, and she's like, no matter what you do to direct the dialogue in a certain way, like a girl will always, in some fascinating, strange way, she's like, it's amazing that like her little girl is like, I want to be beautiful. And like, she's like, I don't know where this language came from, but it kind of like the princess mentality, and I want to be beautiful, whatever. And then we keep saying like, but also like you're the strongest and you run the fastest, and you look how high you can jump. Like also to remember like there's so much more that you can be, that you should strive to be, than just being beautiful. So it has to just,
no, totally. And it's
the conversation already starts.
It's true. It is crazy to think about, no matter what you do at home, like all of
the world is still
all the outside
doing its thing.
Is like, it's just crazy, and they will infiltrate.
Yeah,
like it's wild.
So we have to do our part.
I know, we really do. I know I've got younger brothers and sisters, specifically like my little sisters. I'll never forget, like my little sister must have been like 7 years old, and she's like, well, my mommy told me I can't have that second piece of cake. And I just like remember thinking like,
what's the thing we're doing now? Yeah, like, I know.
That's outrageous.
I know.
And it's like, she didn't have to tell me, she didn't have to finish that sentence.
Right, you know why you're not supposed to have it, right? I know.
You know? And of course, like, yeah, like we live in a world where like refined sugar will lead to cancer. I understand that. But it's like, this girl's 7 years old, and like there's everything in moderation, and like we don't need to, like, yes, understanding like nutrition is like a huge part of what I think will lead to like positive bodies and positive body image and attitude and feelings. But that language wasn't in that conversation.
Oh, it's so confusing. It is so confusing because on one, even like in our magazines and stuff, on one hand, there's like, you know, here's how to be your healthiest you, and here, you know, here's tools for that. And then a few pages later, I'll be like, here's also how to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks or something. Like we're still, it's untraining what we know. And it's for everyone. Like everyone's open and ready and excited about the change and this new sort of, I hate to call it a movement because it makes it sound like it's temporary or something, but this new sort of outpouring of self-acceptance and love and sort of like a pride of being yourself and being like individual. And it's just, it's like it's an untraining of like the way we've always done things.
Totally.
Same like in the fashion industry. It's sort of like redirecting their, a traditional casting director's eye to just be like, just look at me. Don't get confused by how you're gonna dress me. Just look at me and see. You know what I mean? It's like it's no fault to anyone. It's just we have to
it is no fault to anyone.
Unstuck.
You're right, and it's kind of crazy also to like watch like a lot of other genders and industries kind of like embrace that. Yet I think for women it is difficult to make those strides because it is so deeply ingrained it is so much to unlearn. Yeah. It is crazy. Like there's so many times even like, a more petite woman will stand next to me and she's like, oh wait, I have to get on my tippy toes because I'm so short. I'm like, but what's wrong with that? Like, I'm tall because I'm tall, and then you are who you are, and then we're always like apologize. I'm so like we have to be done apologizing for ourselves and our bodies, and like, oh, I'm sorry. I used to do that all the time when I went to go like to shoots and shoot for magazines or to like a designer's showroom or something, and I'd always be like, I'm sorry, I can't go to my home, I'm so sorry. It's like, no, why? I'm not being sorry anymore. I'm so proud of the person that I am and how far I've come and what I look like, and it's like, let's all adapt together. If I can't fit this, it's because there's something that you could probably change, and let's work on this together, but we shouldn't be apologizing anymore. Or it's like, yeah, there's just so much like, oh, sorry, but my stomach. There's always just so much conversation about the things that we shouldn't notice so much. I know.
My mom puts a purse in front of her stomach every time she takes a photo. I'm like, do you know what's more obvious? Because now we're wondering why you have a purse there.
Oh my God,
she like holds it. Yeah. I'm like, now her eye went directly to that area, and we're like, why is this lady clutching her bag? But she thinks it's like hiding something.
Right.
So crazy.
It is really crazy, but it is really beautiful to see like so many women like accentuating what they've got and being so proud and like putting the message out there, being vocal with their voice. Like it's really inspiring, and I just feel like it's finally giving like our youth other opportunities to feel good about themselves
to do other things than just focus on the way you look.
It's really, I don't know sometimes how much we all kind of realize or don't realize the doors that we are opening for other people. And like that to me is like the biggest reward of it all.
It's the thing that you don't plan to happen, not to sound like righteous or anything, but like you don't plan that you're going to be effective in that way until people also share their story with you, and it becomes a community and a conversation.
And they feel that they can even share their story.
It's walls breaking down, and we're really like, it becomes a family.
Yeah.
Because when I set out to be a model, like I really just wanted to play dress up and take really awesome pictures, and it was very like focused on that. I just want to be in magazines, and now like I continue because I've got to make it so that women are just happy with who they are. They got to be okay with the body that they have, and let's get there together. Now I'm here with you.
Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of HBFIT TV. If you did, we'd love to hear about it. Give us a little thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to more episodes, and get your hands on day one at day-won.com for some cute new athletic wear. And also follow your girl Candice.
Me.
At Candice
Huffine.
No dashes, just Google it.
Huffine, not Huffine.
Right. The whole thing.
We got it.
Cute.
Thank you. That was so fun.
That was awesome.
I love that.